A year ago, we were trying to decide if we should turn our property into a rental property or sell it and pocket the profits. I wish we had a video like this. I wish there was a video that just very simple, very straightforward, told us what it's like to own a property for the first time, a rental property for the first time. One that wasn't from someone who is jaded, who can just give us the black and white of how it was owning a rental property. And also not one coming from someone who owns multiple properties. In our research about turning it into a rental property, there were three main themes that kept coming up, three main fears that kept coming up. One was repairs, all the repairs we will have to do, the tenants will want to get done because they're not taking good care of the property or they just needed to get done. Two would be the calls about certain repairs, the inconvenient calls we would be getting at inconvenient times for these repairs, which can really mess up your quality of life if you're constantly, getting calls all the time about something that has to be done to the property. And three is the vacancy slash income, the property being vacant. While it's vacant, you're carrying the cost of that property without any income coming in. Well, it's been a year since we've had our property as a rental property. We just went through our first year as landlords or having a rental property. Let me tell you our experience in regards to those three main themes. And let me tell you what we would highly recommend based on our experience, what we would recommend for you if you were stepping into real estate investment or having a rental property. The first thing we would recommend, highly recommend, is using a property management company. Hear me out. I know they charge 10%. In most cases, they charge 10%, but there are several reasons why this is worth it. You're getting back 90%. 10% will not make or break you. But listen, for this past year, having a property management company has made it so seamless, so painless. And by we, I mean my husband and I. Using a property management company made the whole thing just feel so like it's not even hard. We decided we wanted to use a property management company because they already have the systems, they already have the resources, they already have the attorney, the paperwork, the legal paperwork required. They have access to all the different sites we need to market our property. Now, we could always do that ourselves. We can always sign up for Zillow and Realtor and Finders and Tindler, whatever we need to market our property. We know we can do that. We know we can go online and research, go to YouTube, learn how to do everything. But to us, it was worth losing the 10% to buy our time. Doing all that requires time, and you're learning as you go. We did not want to take that chance being first timers. We wanted to go with someone who already knows how it's done. It was very seamless. We don't have to learn that we have to do ABC because they already know. And based on their data, based on their information, they can also screen for us the right tenant. They run the credit report, they run the rental history, they screen to get the right tenants in. And when someone spends 8 hours a day of their time to find you a tenant compared to you finding a tenant in your free time, there's a difference. So we would rather go with a property management company for that. Now, I know people stop at that. They just use an agency to get a tenant in and then they take it over. After all, after that, all you need is the account where they send your payments and a phone call where they can reach you. Well, we chose to remain with the property management company. They are the point of contact for the tenant because for us, we actually like being one step removed from the tenant. It helps keep things professional. It helps keep things black and white. So we are not in contact with the tenant. All they know is the agency. We have access to the agency's system. We see how much the rent is, how much comes in, and we get the 90%. The agency keeps 10%. Should there be any repairs needed, they contact the agency reaches out to us, and we decide if we want to handle the repair, i.e., contact a third party to take care of it, or the agency takes care of it and deduct the cost from the rental income. So for the past 1 year, all we know is money's coming in. We saw the lease, we signed the lease, we read the lease, it's good, money's coming in, and that's it. We're not in contact with the tenant. We haven't been receiving inconvenient calls, and that takes care of that number two fear. We haven't been receiving inconvenient calls on things to do. Whenever the tenant has questions, they reach out to the agency. They have the system set up for the tenant to log in whatever repair or issues they have or whatever they need to get done, and then we get contacted. So everything in terms of communication, phone call, text, email, whatever, has been straightforward, and everything is documented. It is very important that things are documented because this is a business, and having the agency, like I said, keeps it professional and keeps it black and white because everything has been documented. It's not a, call from the tenant was, the water is not running. And okay, I said I'll be there tomorrow. And then there's another cert. It's a business and we want to keep it that way. In our opinion, it's worth losing the 10% for the service, for the seamlessness and the easiness and the easy life of owning a rental property, but not even feeling the pain of a rental property. All right, let's talk about repairs because that's the major thing. There's only been one major repair that we think is the tenant's fault. The other repairs are things that we know. Heck, I knew. I lived in the house. It was our primary residence to begin with. I knew it needed to be done. But when you're living in the house, your standard of living is lower than if you were renting the house. Because as a tenant, if something is wrong, all you have to do is make a phone call or log it in, and boom, it gets taken care of. But your own house, when something needs to be done, now you have to call, get quotes, decide on if you're being cheated or if someone is quoting the right price or not. So when we got calls for, there were only two, three things I knew is justified. We should have done this a while ago. One was a call about our dishwasher. We had some parts missing that needed to be replaced or fixed. Yeah, I knew when they fell off. I saw them and I was like, what's this? Where does it go? And now the tenant is like, the dishwasher is missing some parts. I'm like, yeah, yeah, just fix it. So we paid, we had the agency take care of that. The other was our deck, our patio. It's wood. The splinters were coming off. That has always been an issue with it. And when you have kids, it's always a problem. We've painted it twice. So that we took care of that right away. Now, usually with repairs, when they contact us, when the agency contacts us or sends us an email about that, it's actually an email, which is very convenient, not phone call. It's email, and if they haven't heard back, they text. When we get an email for a repair, we get to decide if we want them to proceed with getting it done with their in-house contractor and all that, or we get a third party. Now, they let us know from the get-go, if they take care of it, it will cost us more because their fee for anything would generally be a bit higher than, not a bit, I think maybe 10% higher than if we get a third party because you're paying for the convenience, right? If you were to go find your own plumber or your own whatever electrician, now you have to do the work to find the right one, get quotes and all. We do have a contractor that we can reach out to, so it wouldn't be much of a headache. But when it's little things like the dishwasher the parts needs to be fixed, rather than going through the headache of, all right, this guy is going to come by at so time, where I become the middle ground between my third party and the agency, it's worth it to just say, all right, you guys take care of it. 10% of $40 is not that high, right? So for us, it comes down to really what is worth our time. If we want to save every single penny, then be willing for it to eat up some of your time, right? Because now I have to take out time to call our contractor guy, hey, can you have someone go work the dishwasher? When would they be able to get it done and all that? Or I can just say, you know what? I can let go of $5. You guys handle it. That $5 difference between the agency handling it and me getting a contractor to do it. Now, if it's something big, then that's a different story. Now, the big repair that we had to do that was the tenant's fault and something that we're having to really think about is we had a little water damage. Huge. As a homeowner, anytime you hear water damage, just well, we think when they were hooking up their washer and dryer, they made a mistake somewhere and water got into the part of the wall where the wiring is done. Listen, I don't know all these things, these terms and this building stuff. So don't expect detail. All you need to know is somehow in the hooking up of the washer, water got where water shouldn't go, right? And they give us a call. We saw that. Now we could always go back and forth and go, well, it's your fault. You guys made the mess, and so you fix it. But listen, it's our property, right? We want to make sure it's taken care of ASAP. I don't want any further damage, especially when it's water. So we decided, you know what, we're just going to take care of it, and we're not going to try to get them to pay for it. It wasn't major, but it was some damage. So we decided to just take care of it, and we'll pay for it. Now, where we're wondering the right way to go about things is we wanted to leave our washer and dryer in the house, and that way no one has to mess with hooking up anything. But the agency advised us not to do so because whatever appliance you leave in the house, you're responsible for. So if we leave the washer and dryer and while they're using it, it breaks down or anything happens, we would be responsible for fixing it. It would be just like the dishwasher in the kitchen or the refrigerator in the kitchen. We would be responsible for fixing it. And so they advise that we just take our washer and dryer with us and let each tenant bring theirs. And that way, if it breaks down, if they ruin it, it's their headache. After this event, though, I don't know how I feel about that. After this event, though, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I want every tenant to keep having to rehook and hook. You know what I mean? Or unless we can come up with a way to just foolproof the process of hooking up the wash and dryer. I don't know if I want every single tenant every time they move in to have to go through that hooking and unhooking process. I don't, I'm not sure about this yet. I think we're still not sure if we want to, when this tenant moves out, if we want to go ahead and just put our own wash and dryer and that way it's foolproof. And if it's broken, yes, we'll handle it. I don't know. Let me know for those of you who are experienced renters what you've done. Overall, when it comes to repairs, in our first year, nothing bad, thank God, nothing major, nothing that would make me rethink going into real estate investment or rethink having a rental property. That washing machine thing, that could have been bad. I can see where that could have been bad, but even with that and knowing how bad that could have gotten, it still wouldn't keep me from having a rental property. It still does not add up to the fear you get when you're researching if you should have a rental property. Now let's talk about income, vacancy income, the main thing, what matters, right? Well, luckily for us, or not luckily, thank God, we did not have any issue of vacancy. And also because of the housing market the way it is, amazing for a rental property. Not so much when you're trying to buy a house, but amazing for a rental property. The property was only vacant for a month from when we wanted to rent it. It was only vacant that first month. We had to reduce the rental income by a few some dollars, because when you start with the agency tells you how much the property should be rented for, what it would go for. And from my experience, I think they just follow a template, and you have to remember it is still your property. You still have a say of what should be done, but they wanted to start at a certain amount, and I was like, sure, if you can get that amount, I'm in. Get us that amount, But after it was vacant for a month, and they also knowing based on their data, the trajectory, and if it's vacant for this long, let's take that money down. We took it down by a few dollars, and we got someone in right away, and it's been occupied the whole time. Thanks to the market as it is, we are on a positive. The rent covers the mortgage and taxes the cost of owning the property, and we still have profit after that, even after the management company takes off their 10%. So if you're still trying to make that decision between renting your home or selling, I will never tell you which way to go because this is a decision you have to make. I would only tell you what our experience is, the pros and cons, left and right. That's how I like doing things. There's a huge benefit to selling, and there's a huge benefit to renting. And there will be another video where I discuss why we decided to rent rather than sell it and get this record profit that we have in the housing market. But I hope this has been helpful for you because based on our experience so far, and thank God, I know I cannot deny God's favor on this one because when we were thinking about renting the property, one of our neighbors actually told me, "Oh yeah, they had a rental property, a townhome. They got the right tenant in there with the right income, with the right credit history, with the right rental history, and they thought because this person worked at XYZ, they were very respectful or respectable, and they're not going to have to worry about any of the shenanigans that you have to fear about in terms of people not paying their rent or not wanting to move out." Yeah, she was like, we were shocked. This lady decided to stop paying. And this was not during when tenants didn't have to pay. I don't know if we can say that word yet on YouTube. This was before that. and she refused to pay, and she gave her explanations, and it took them time to get this woman evicted out of the property. She had to pay for attorney costs and all that to get the woman out of the property. So I know while it's good to get the right tenant in there, the right, do your credit history, do your rental history and all that, this can still happen. So I cannot deny God's favor so far this last year, of us renting the property. So it's been a great experience, and I am so glad we went down the road of renting it. And if at any point it doesn't work out, we will quickly sell it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.